Welcome to Debt to Cinema. I'm Stephen Maltmanex.
And I'm Brian Gillis. Like most people, we love going to the theater and catching latest releases. However, you can sadly put a big dent in your wallet.
Fortunately, living in the digital age makes the viewing possibilities endless from the comforts of home.
Many of these films that you can see right from your couch, we're ashamed to say we missed, despite labeling ourselves cinephiles.
So join us as one or both of us cross off a title from our list of shame.
It can be an all-time essential classic,
Or an underrated piece of cinema that's worth giving a shot.
hell, it might just be some trashy film we want the other's opinion on. So sit tight and join us as we pay off our debts, $1 at a time.
A high school girl's been murdered. Mr. Harrison's daughter is missing. And now at the house where she lives, the other girls are getting obscene phone calls.
Hello?
I know you're there, now, Stevie! You answer me, it's me! Mommy? Where's Agnes? You
Why are you doing this?
How's that new Bev screening for you, Brian? That's, oh wait, you're getting that next week.
I'm not
That's
going.
right, if you're even going to that, yeah.
No, I asked Brennan if he wanted to go. He said no.
No?
Yeah,
I'm
he's
busy
busy.
that night.
That's too bad, guys, because, I mean, I saw this with a sold-out crowd, and, you know, it was
Oh,
really
yeah?
fun.
Well,
You know,
next week
spiritually,
it's-
we could have seen the same exact version of this movie because, just a little fun tidbit. I already said this to Brennan, but I got to see Quentin Tarantino's personal print of this.
Oh, then it's definitely the same print.
Yeah, and it's,
Yeah.
I guess it's the same, or it's the only one that really exists, so maybe you're lucky because it was beat to shit.
Yeah, my digital copy was pretty beat
So
up.
was mine.
Yeah, like it.
Don't
it's-
you own it
looks-
on DVD?
Yeah, but it's not great.
Like my digital copy was probably ripped from that. I know Shout Factory put out a Blu-ray, but it's probably also shit.
They just scanned it from the negative, I think, or that's usually what,
Which negative? If you said you have, or that you saw one that only prints in existence, then they probably struck it from
that's
that.
not a negative, no.
Well,
And
I'm saying
I
they could have made an inner positive and then took that negative.
No, I don't. Unless they did so. Well, I mean, the print was just completely beat. There was scratches everywhere. Not that I'm complaining. You know, there is a charm to seeing stuff that way, and like the color was, It was more magenta in a few of the reels.
To be completely honest, I'm less bummed about now watching this on film and more so catching the remake with a theater, because I think that would have made for a much better experience. Because I didn't.
I hope so. Anything would be better than just watching it alone.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
Because I didn't dislike this movie, but I have a feeling that I would much rather prefer the Mary Elizabeth Winstead version. Just for I don't know why. I
It's
just
also
have a
playing at
feeling.
that theater. Well,
Because you're a millennial. Look at me, I'm Brian.
Yeah,
Hey.
well, I love Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
that too. I was gonna
Well,
say.
yeah, but she has no character in that movie.
I haven't seen it. That's
we
what I'm
haven't
saying.
seen it
Like,
that one
Okay.
either. I
Well, it's
assume
like-
though it's one of the shitty. You know,
Well,
even
I'm-
this movie reminded me of the original When a Stranger Calls, but like. That's one of the first remakes I think of when I think of like just what I imagine the Black Christmas remake to be is like. Isn't the remake also PG-13 for Black Christmas?
I don't remember the actual rating. Let me look it up. But it's actually pretty decently gory, which is fun.
See, that's what I
Well,
was.
most
looking
movies
for.
of like every remake of the 2000s, that's the main selling point that they had is, hey, let's remake this, but gore is the thing now. Let's just make it more gritty and more
Hey,
violent.
earlier this year, I
Surprise.
caught Terror Train. A remake of that with gore would be awesome because it's
Yeah,
already.
because that's the only thing it's missing.
Yeah, it's so damn and the sex scene. There, like you see some boobs, but there's not a sex scene, and like the same thing goes for this. How do you make a slasher movie without, like, okay, I guess there's people drinking here, but there's not any. Like, there's no like Sodom and Gomorrah. There's
Let's be
nothing-
fair.
Yeah,
Slasher
well,
movies
this-
didn't really exist yet. This wasn't a trend yet. Like this is among the first to
Well,
really influence that
This
genre.
No, this is over a decade after Psycho.
Okay, excuse me. Let me jump
You're
in
the
for a
professional
second.
here. Let's yeah.
I think, no offense, but I think I'm the one person on the planet our age that knows the most about these things.
And you're younger than us too.
Sorry.
So your age.
Did we introduce you yet? By the way, this is Brennan
No,
from
I don't
Scream
know.
101. By the way.
Yeah,
Hi.
he
Yeah.
has a podcast and a podcast network, and he's an actual horror news reporter, so he trumps us.
Yeah, I got a whole thing. Thank you. My name is Brennan Klein. Scream 101 podcast at Scream 101 pod on Twitter. Thank you. Sorry.
It's rating Bren's.
See, my best introduction is me being a big old nerd, so I think that preceded me, which is good. But like obviously Psycho's like the grandfather of the slasher film, but there's no sex scenes in Psycho.
It starts with one. Well, a
there's
love
kind-
scene,
okay, you know what?
sort of.
At the time,
it's
it was a sex scene.
post-coital. That that
Yeah.
is it's sexy and
And not to be technical, but wasn't Peeping Tom before Psycho?
that was actually the
No.
same year.
Yeah, wasn't it like a?
I thought Peeping Tom
it
was
like 60 and
59.
61.
Like,
no, it's not 59.
No,
No,
they
it's
both came
59
out
in Britain,
60.
and I thought it was like 60 in the U.S. I don't know, but
I don't
Okay,
know.
well,
I still haven't
but
seen that. So.
in terms of influence over how many people saw it,
Yeah.
Psycho was the biggest one. But then slasher started kind of coalescing in 1974 with Black Christmas and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which both came out within like a week of each other.
Okay.
And then 4 years later, Halloween happened, and then 2 years after that, Friday the 13th happened, and that's when it went boom, and everything kind
Yeah,
of got
super
established.
genre. We can make this for peanuts, and then they'll pay out the nose to watch it, and they'll watch it
Exactly.
like 10 times in a row on the same day.
well, here's the thing though. When I hear slasher, the main thing I think of is it's about the kills, it's about the gore, and this isn't really that. Like, yes, there
Hey,
are
the
kills
body
here.
count's 6.
There is a body count, but I'm not anticipating the kills and how they're going to go down. Like, this is a real horror film where I'm actually really concerned about the well-being of most, if not all, these people. I'm not really looking forward to how they're all going to die. Maybe a couple in the beginning, but then after a while, it's like, no, I'm actually genuinely worried for everybody, and I want to see the killer get caught. Like, that's what I end up rooting for.
Yeah, and that's the big difference here. That's why it doesn't really matter that it's not a slasher film.
It's weird because it starts off really strong, and I was like, ooh, I know exactly what I'm getting into. And sure enough, it begins that way. And then it does something that the genre typically doesn't do, and it actually proceeds. It's not like the same night, which I was thinking. It's like, oh, let's go to the next day. And you see these characters during the daytime where everything is like dandy, and then the sun falls again, and it's like, oh, okay, nighttime. Let's get the scary guy back in here. But it with like the phone tapping and the police involvement and the search party and everything, it turned into more of like a police procedural
Yeah.
than a slasher for more than half of it. And I was like, this is so peculiar, and yet at the same time, it was kind of like the perfect slow burn, because when you get to that final set piece in the house where you have Jess by herself, I was like, okay, this is like pretty actually kind of scary. Like I'm really invested now because I know she's alone. I know her possibly psycho. With the worst fucking marriage proposal of all time, just straight up, we're getting married.
Yeah.
Which, you know what, like, I mean, what really, I don't know if you guys know this, but that's Keir, I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Delea?
Delea, yeah. The guy that's Dave Bowman in 2001.
Is it really?
Oh.
That's
Dave?
what I got the biggest kick out of, yeah, when I saw his name in the credits, I was like, oh shit, that is Dave. Like,
Long hair goes a long way for him.
yeah, considering this is like, I don't know, what, 6 years after that was made. In my mind, I was thinking, okay, is this what reincarnation is like? Because the whole time I'm actually thinking that he is the killer. Like, all the obvious signs are there, which
Yeah, he's transparently creepy.
Oh yeah, it's the turtleneck with the plaid jacket too, which is like the weirdest fashion.
You can't trust
sense.
those people.
yeah,
No.
it's like this is one of those early slasher movies too, where I'm just thinking, well, is it really? Could this have gotten away with that fake out? Maybe we see it coming now, but there was a point where I was just like, I really don't care who it is, even if it is him, because the person that we hear on the phone is just so fucking
The
creepy
people.
that it's just
The
like,
people we hear on the phone.
God
It's
damn.
a
it's-
schizo.
It's
You
not
know-
a whodunit. It's a please stop.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, I don't know if this might be a great flaw at my screening, but this was on a mono track and it's on an old print, and for most of the phone calls, I don't know how clear it is on what you guys have now, and you get the benefits of subtitles, but I could not make out a lot of what the guy was saying on the phone. A lot of it was just like these weird, creepy sounds, and it just made it more fucking eerie just
That's
to hear
super
that shit
creepy.
for me.
It's mostly him getting yelled at by, I presume, like a mom, and then there's like a dad in there, and there's like a sister, and it's like Billy don't like.
Well, I'm
yeah,
guessing
I don't think
he's
you're
just making all the voices, right?
Yeah, it has
Yeah.
to be a singular
First
person.
time, I just thought it was someone getting killed on the phone, and they were all hearing that. And just in my mind, I'm like, oh, that's fucked up. That is a fucked up way to start it. Like, he broke into the house, and then a girl was in a room. We don't know who she is yet, but I was seriously thinking, is that like the way that this is going to start? And that's just, it was fucked up from the beginning, and then it just kept getting creepier and creepier.
No, this is definitely more Psycho than Scream. Like, Psycho, literally. Like, this is about someone who is a psychopath. Like, this is not some sadistic fucker who wants to kill all these people. Like, who knows what happens? And this is a big spoiler, and we'll just jump to it. You don't know who it is, which is definitely the scariest thing about this film. I love the closing.
That's why it's so fucking unsettling. Like,
you get this absolute anti-climax. There's no resolution. It ends with the happy ending, and then just like the way it opens, you got that awesome like opening shot where it pans across the house and you get to see all the windows, and you get this point of view like creeper thing going on with hands, which was the coolest part. And then it ends the exact same way, where it's like that sweep through the house, everything's good, except it's not. And let's zoom out of this window to show like everyone walking by saw a dead person. All the Christmas carolers should have seen that. And it's just like, hey, look, it's a phone ringing. The guy was still trying to talk to people.
Look, I'm not gonna lie, man, but like, you know, we're talking about the ending a bit earlier than maybe I would like, but fuck, like, you know, this is how you know that a horror movie succeeds, at least in my book, because they always have to end on a down note, like something to leave an impression.
Not Scream
and
3. Just saying.
Okay, good
Okay,
ones.
well, Scream 3
but let me
is
let
not
me
like...
Not New Nightmare.
let me get to this point though. Just when you have that shot of just Jess on the bed and it just holds it there, I swear, me and most of the other people in the theater, like, we're just fucking begging for the credits to start rolling, and then sure enough, the camera starts panning. It's just like, no, like, I was totally fucking willing to accept that Dave Bowman was the killer. Please, just stop doing it.
Nope.
And sure enough, it keeps going, and then, you know, you just hear those noises, you know he's upstairs, and then right when the credits start rolling, it just keeps fucking getting under your skin with that fucking phone ringing, just getting louder and louder and louder, and it just doesn't even stop. Not even when the credits are done.
Nope.
And that is
Awesome
how you
credits.
make like, that's just such a fucking brilliant way to end it. Like, it makes a fucking haunting impression at the end. Like, that is the mark of just a true horror movie really fucking succeeding at getting under your skin. Not like being scary and like, oh, boo, cool, jump scares. Like, no, this is fucking unnerving, and it stays with you right at the end.
It's
so fucking good.
We're so lucky that this was made when it was, because this undoubtedly would have got a sequel. Like When a Stranger Calls got a sequel.
The
When a
original
Stranger
did?
Calls Back.
Yeah, When a Stranger Returns, or it calls back. They made like
When a
2 or 3
Stranger
of
Calls
those.
Back, yeah.
Yeah, and then, you know, Psycho got like 3 or 4 sequels. Like, most slasher films are known because they're franchise starters, and this one didn't. It sure got a remake, but good on Bob Clark, who made a lot of sequels. I had to look him up real fast. Everyone's seen one of his movies.
You know
If
what's
it's not
messed
this
up?
Christmas
Yeah,
movie,
he's
It's
great.
A Christmas Story.
I know, like, I learned that tonight when they did
Yeah.
the intro. It's like, holy shit, like, this is from the guy that did A Christmas Story? What the fuck am I in for?
When they get the box with the leg lamp, that's kind of spooky. Like the Christmas scene, not the Christmas scene, when they go to the Chinese restaurant, a little spooky. And I was watching this, and after I watched it, I was like, yeah, I can kind of see that now, just a little bit. He made Baby Geniuses 1 and 2, and better
And
yet,
Porky's.
Porky's 1 and 2. I'm so happy it didn't do the third one. That third one is so bad.
Going back to A Christmas Story, did you guys ever see that E-Bombs World trailer where it made that?
Yeah,
it made it look
horror
like
film.
a horror movie. Yeah, like that shit is so good.
It could have been, maybe. now that I know that
It's
he
more
made this
fitting
thing.
now that I know he made this. Like, just
Well, yeah, but
man.
but think about it. Like the skies were dark because all the stars are working on Black Christmas. Because we've got Keir Dullea, we've got Bob Clark, but we've also got the main girl Jess is Olivia Hussey, who was Juliet in Romeo and Juliet, like the
Which
main
one?
one that people watch in class.
The one with,
the Zeffirelli version.
The main one is with Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm sorry.
Excuse you, that movie's a pile of garbage.
Oh,
No,
that movie's
it isn't.
awesome. I saw
It's
that movie
awesome.
this year. It's fun. It's excessive and it's really
Like-
out there, but it's fun.
Baz
I like
Luhrmann.
Baz Luhrmann, but I just can't.
I gotta
with
say
that
though, like
movie.
I
that
don't
movie's
like
fun
Baz
for its
Luhrmann,
flourishes. Like the romance, it's not. It doesn't resonate in a great way. It's
like-
just cool style.
I
really.
don't like any of his movies, but I love that and Strictly Ballroom.
I love Great
Strictly-
Gatsby.
Strictly Ballroom is amazing. It's like one of the best Australian films ever made. It's so good.
All right. Anyway,
So good.
Olivia Hussey, she was Juliet, and then there's Margot Kidder who played Lois Lane in the
Yeah.
Superman movies.
Uh-huh. Big time. Big time get in
Which
this movie.
she steals the show, really. Like just, and this is like another thing that I really love about this. This movie is really fucking funny, you guys.
I wanted her to be the final girl, though. I was expecting it. Like, as soon as it started, because she was the name that I knew, I was like, oh, that has to be who Mary Elizabeth Winstead plays.
Well, I think
she has to be the person who survives, and you don't get that. She has some really funny dialogue, like the fellatio line, but she disappears so fast after seeing the show for, like the first 25, 30 minutes. She's just gone. She was probably filming Superman.
She also gets
No,
the
that was
best
like 4
death,
years
though,
later,
too.
Their pre-production probably started really early on that thing. Like, someone saw dailies for this. They flew to Canada and they saw the dailies and were like, "That's Lois Lane, guys."
Oh, this is a Warner Brothers release, so
This drunk mess is our Lois Lane.
Yes, well,
it makes sense. I mean, if you remember those movies, I was thinking the whole time, yeah, this is probably what Lois Lane was like in college. She was just getting drunk, going, "You guys know that there's a species of turtles that fucks for 3 days straight?"
3 days.
I know, because I went to the zoo.
It's so strange that there's so much comedic relief in this, and then they all die. And we kind of cut you off, Brennan, but yeah, she definitely gets the best death, even though you don't see it.
Yeah, well, no, the thing is, you don't see the gore, but the death is so beautiful. It's shot like a Dario Argento film.
She's getting killed by one of her prized possessions.
This is what got to me, though, was that just having that juxtaposed with the Christmas Carolers, which right when they come by, that's right where when I'm watching this and I'm reminded, oh, right, this is a Christmas movie. And they're they're bringing back that holiday spirit, like, you know, which, I mean, that's part of what I just love about this time of year. And I watch a bunch of Christmas movies and, like, just stuff that makes you feel cheerful and merry. And it's getting you into that mood. And then you juxtapose it with that, and then it just fucking cuts that spirit into a million fucking pieces. And it just fucking ripped my heart out, man. Like, it's
like
so
Die
brilliantly
Hard a little
done.
bit.
Absolutely.
It's like there's great Christmas imagery with the carolers and the snow and the lights and stuff. And it's like, you know, you got like a beautiful kitty whose name is Claude. Great name for that cat. I love that cat. But then, you know, you got all this comedic relief, especially the house mom who has like
the den mother
in every corner of the house.
Like, I don't
is
think there's one
amazing.
scene where, like, maybe a shot where she's not fucking trying to find some hidden bottle of liquor around.
No, she's the original Kesha. She literally washes out her mouth with liquor.
Which
yeah,
I'm not
she
gonna
brushes
lie.
her teeth, and then she's like, I don't need Listerine. I got straight sherry.
I'm not gonna lie. Just because of that and Margot Kidder, Alamo got money from me tonight because of
You had a
alcohol.
drink?
Yeah, I mean, just
Yeah.
there's alcohol almost everywhere in this movie, and I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna drink. Why the fuck not? Like, this movie's literally begging me to.
B for booze, right? I like, she has so many creative usages of hiding things. Like the encyclopedia, we've all seen that before. Like toilet tank, whatever, not so cool. But
That
then
toilet
it's
tank
like,
was disgusting, though. I wouldn't put anything in there.
it's sanitary, it's alcohol. But then like she has in the coat closet and then in the luggage that she's packing. Literally every moment you see her, I'm surprised when her like purse fell out that there wasn't like a flask in there. There should have been.
Well, the thing is, she needs to keep it hidden for whatever reason.
No, like
I think it's just a compulsion. Like, it's a game that she plays.
she needed a love interest. I would have loved her to like seduce
You and
the
romances,
grieving
man.
dad.
Ew.
Well, he wasn't grieving yet. He didn't even know. He still
He
doesn't.
knew.
Not at that
knew.
point. No one,
Even,
like, they didn't know.
even at the end, they don't discover his daughter.
They don't discover it, but it's pretty. I mean, he's passed out at that point. It's fair to assume that she's gone because it starts out as a missing persons case.
See, how bad are these cops that they didn't check the whole house?
Fellatio.
It's like, well, I'm not even talking about that
I mean,
guy,
that's the
or
first sign of incompetence right there. I love
Not
that line. It's
him.
like, you need an instruction manual, don't you?
Well, then you also
Just to
got the
pick your
cop that
nose.
gets shot in the ass. Seriously, they sweep the house after they presume the killer's dead. They got a crime scene in the basement. They got these dead bodies on the second floor, and they don't even go, "Oh, what's in the attic, guys?"
Look,
like,
they've seen enough horror movies. They know not to go in the attic.
they didn't know that yet. Not this time.
But they just kind of assumed it was a closed case at that point, and I don't know. Maybe they'll go up there eventually. Who knows how much time this was
I'm sure
after they
someone
found
has
her?
to.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know it's bound to happen, but really, I actually, you know, you said police procedural earlier, which, I mean, that was some of the stuff that really, like, got me into this, like, in a way I didn't expect. Like, all that stuff to me, like, it's great. Like, it's Kurosawa high and low grade, which, I mean, like, no, like, that far. I mean, just the stuff with them trying to track the phone, which, like, you know, I've never seen
the
that before,
phone
and this is
tapping
the
was cool.
70s, but I mean, just so much cooler than looking at a computer screen with a loading screen as they zero in on a location. Like, that
And
is
it's
just so
kinetic, you're
cool
doing
to see that
something.
happen. And then you got the phone call, like, on the other end where just this guy's just fucking making these creepy ass noises, and
What's your
it's just
favorite scary movie?
different movie. Like
Same movie.
Agnes, it's Billy. Like fuck, it's so creepy, man.
I'm
But
surprised
it's nail-bitingly
Ghostface never
good.
mentioned this film.
That's a good point. I mean,
It's a movie
Scream
where
5 should be a Christmas movie.
the scary person on the phone, like when a stranger calls, and then this, and Scream. Like
Can I just
can't
mention
really think
when a
of many
stranger
other
calls
ones.
for the last time, though? This movie fucking does it right. Like I saw When a Stranger Calls like when I was a kid, and
I haven't seen it.
You know,
Listen.
it
Oh,
got
it's
to
super
me.
boring.
It got to
I'm
me
sure.
then, yeah. But like, I don't think I would enjoy it as much now. But when there's that line, like the killer is in the house, it's just like dun dun dun. Here, it's like they're fucking trying not to say it, and then the moment that he does, he's like, "No, go out the door right fucking now!" Like, fuck, I just told her like that the killer is in the house, and like you're just literally like, Jess, get the fuck out of there! Like, seriously, what the fuck are you doing? It's so. It's really creepy, like, or not creepy. That's not the right word, but it's just like the moment that like that really hits, where it's just like, oh fuck, I said it, and then she knows. Like, you're seriously just fucking worried about her. It's not like some shocking like the way that When a Stranger Calls does it. At least the way I remember it. You get what I'm saying? It's like just the moment that it happens here. It's just. It just elevates it to such a fucking great level of intensity that you're just getting pumped up for what's about to come.
How fucked up is it that you're rooting for her to kill her neurotic like boyfriend?
Well,
And
he's the worst though.
he's
I
totally
really-
bad. Like the first actual murder scene that you see in this film, the only real gore is when he kills the piano.
See, I wasn't rooting for her to kill him. Like, I was still at a point where I wasn't exactly sure because they were hiding the actual killer pretty well. And, you know, part of me was like doubting, yeah, it can't be him. But then why would he fucking kick that window? Just
Because he
Yeah,
was scared about.
look,
why
he thought she was gonna abort the baby, and he went all psycho.
I know, but well, now you can look at it, but it's just like seeing this from the first time. It seemed like why would you do that?
I hope the guy who was the killer was the foul-mouthed Santa, the one dude in the
Bob?
house.
That's
is
the
his
real
name Bob?
bad Santa.
I
Yeah,
think so.
He has to be the killer because he's the only dude that's in the house the whole movie besides what's his name, Peter. He's the only one.
I love how he's in the house in that Santa suit. Doesn't look like a convincing Santa at all. Like, doesn't even have a wig or anything, and he's
just
just
saying
cussing in front of the
Just
kids,
big
and they just
black
don't give a
fro.
shit. In fact, like, did I see Margot Kidder giving a kid a drink in the background?
Yes, you did.
That wasn't booze,
seriously.
though. I think that was apple cider.
No,
Well,
she was
like,
getting
I
him
caught it
schnockered.
like right around before that shot cut away, and I was just like, wait, did I fucking see that?
That shot.
That
by
is
the
so
way,
cool.
It was totally reminiscent of the thing that we talked about during the Dick Tracy episode, where you have Margot Kidder with the kid on the left side, and on the right side you have the dad, and they're both in focus. But this one, they didn't get quite right because there's like that soft focus in the middle, so it broke the illusion. I was like, that's like the same exact framing. I have to find out what that's called, but I think they cheated in this one. I think they overlapped. Like it wasn't actually the same shot, but it doesn't matter.
What, like
Um,
a split screen Doppler, like what De Palma does, where there's
Yeah.
two different shots that are in focus.
It's really cool. Like it's super supportive. So, you know, we're talking about Stranger Calls, we're talking about Scream, we're talking about how awesome the phone call hits, and you know, just the phone as
I mean, seriously, that moment, just like you start biting your nails when that happens, right? Like,
No,
am I
not
the only
even
one
the
here?
I'm not talking about the last one. The best one in the movie, in my opinion, is the first one. When they're having the party before anyone dies,
Mm-hmm.
and you have like that phone sex conversation or like phone rape, where he's like, "Let me lick it, that pretty
Yeah.
pink cunt. Let me lick it. I'm gonna fuck you. I'm gonna like." I was so engrossed already. I was like, "This is awesome. This is perfect." Like I was not expecting a movie of this era to be that dirty, like to just go that far right away without like, you know, having like the couple having sex upstairs or anything like that. It's just like we can't get away with that quite right, so let's do this thing.
I mean,
That's
when
your
that starts,
words.
it's like there were some people laughing in the theater, and it is kind of
Yeah.
uncomfortably funny in that way. And at first, it just sounds like, oh, this is some perverted asshole killer. But then you get to shit later on, like with just, I mean, the one thing that really I think just makes it seem really scary is when you have that POV of him just throwing all the shit in the attic.
Yeah, the temper
and
tantrum.
you realize this is someone completely deranged and unstable, and then just you apply that to everything that follows through later on. It's like, it's so scary because someone like that is so unpredictable that, like, you don't know if, you know, like, for example, I don't know, this is something that I thought potentially could have happened, where we find out who it is, and then he ties up one of the girls, and then he's just really conflicted of what to do, and you have no idea what's gonna happen. It's like someone like that. It's so fucking scary because you don't know what they're gonna do next, and they probably don't even know either.
No, they got the psychopath angle perfect.
Seriously, it's
like,
so fucking unnerving.
That's the thing for all of this movie's lack of sexuality and gore, like overtly. It really goes for it in the dialogue, in those sequences, and even the fact that like Jess wants to get an abortion, like that kind of thing didn't happen in movies, but it like pushed those exploitation elements.
I seriously love that scene too, like when she just says, "Hey, fuck you! Like, do you want to get married right away? I'm in college. I still got fucking plans." Like, I mean, it seemed like for mid 1970, like that was a pretty bold. Like, you know, women weren't necessarily docile then, but still, that felt very modern when that happened.
Everything about this sorority, was it Pi Kappa Sigma? Everything about it seems modern. I mean,
yeah, it still plays today.
They're independent women for the most part. Like, yes, one or two of them have boyfriends, but they're not inviting them to their house. They're having a good time. Like, they're all getting drunk. They're all partying. Even the one that's supposed to be watchdogging them, like, people are going missing, but they don't really care. They're like, oh, whatever. They're all out away. They're taking care of themselves. Like, you have that scene where they go, like, they laugh about the search party, like, wait, yeah, all the doors and windows are unlocked.
That's my favorite scene in that movie.
Just the realization of that, like, yeah, this is really the only door, and everyone would like, huh, yeah, that really fucking dumb. You know, it's that like self-aware horror movie moment of like, really, is that? Okay.
Yeah, and it's such a quick turnaround too, because they're like turning away those search party guys at the door, and they're all giggling and being all fun, and then just snap. She's like, oh, there's not a single door or window in this house that is locked. Let's go fix that.
We should probably fix that. I hate
even though that
you
wouldn't
don't-
change anything because the guy came up from the attic, which nobody ever goes in.
Yeah. How do
I
you
don't
even
think
get?
they know it exists.
How do you get in the house? Like, you see in the beginning, you see him like climbing like a chalice or something, and like going through a window. But like, seriously, why did no one go in the attic? Like, didn't any of the girls hide anything up
The
there?
den mother was about to go in, and that was like one of the cool.
She literally does go in,
Yeah.
but that death would have been so awesome if you could get away with that at this time. Because I was so excited for that hook to go through her eye or something.
Yeah.
And then instead you see her like hanging by the neck with like some really cheap blood.
Well,
But-
I mean, that was a
think
pretty
the way
fun.
that kill is shot though is so brutal. Still.
Yeah, like it's a
yeah.
fun horror movie kill where it's like you're looking forward to see how they're gonna get it right before it just gets really disturbing, and then you're worried about everybody else.
Because you don't see it, it's almost more effective than if you could. But I've been spoiled by contemporary horror that I like seeing it and going, ooh, ah, ooh. But I love that the only thing you see of the killer is his eye and his hands. That's it. Or you see his hair in silhouette too. But it could be anyone. And I think that's why it's so scary and so effective. Just the thought that anyone you don't have to know what they look like. Like, you could say that the den mother sees him, everyone that dies technically sees him, and no one's like, oh, don't I know you? Like, there's nothing about that.
Oh, it's you.
But it could have easily been that. It's like, aren't you Cotton Leary? Like, that's you, right? Like, it could have been something like that. I clearly saw Scream 3 the other day.
I was reminded of, I mean, just what really made this horrifying for me. Like, I don't know if you guys remember who Elliot Rodger is. He's the guy that did that mass shooting in Santa Barbara a couple years ago.
Oh,
and
yeah,
there's
absolutely.
videos on YouTube, and I was just kind of projecting that at a certain point, and when you see how fucking psychotic and deranged this guy in the movie is, and I was just thinking, fuck it, like it. You know, granted, I have no idea about that guy's life other than I read some stuff of his manifestos, and it's like, it's fucked up, but. I mean, it's just like, that's what creeps me out is like, anyone like that, they could look fucking normal as shit, and yet the way that they act, the way that they behave, like they could. There's people like this that are out there among you, and you have no idea who they fucking are, and that's what makes it really fucking unsettling at the end. Is you have no idea who this person is. Like, you know, and that's like a real life thing. This isn't like a Michael Myers. You get his POV, and he breathes heavily, and it's intimidating, but it's someone who's just very calm and just kills. And this is like someone that's just so fucking deranged, and it's fucked up. Like, it feels. It makes me feel like uncomfortable, kind of saying, I love this movie and I love it for that, and that it got that effect, because it's like, but like it really succeeded in a way that's just very haunting and like authentic, and it's
just
yeah,
brilliant
there's some
screenwriting.
mixed emotions as far as like just how I'm supposed to react to that, but yeah, it's fucking brilliant how they do it.
It's like last week I was praising Terms of Endearment because it gets life right, like with the slices it has, like it seems so naturalistic, like it seems like something that would happen. You know, mass killings like this don't happen frequently. Like maybe shooting events, which have been happening a lot in America and even France and most of the world, to be frank. But like this, like serial killers, like stabbings, like, oh, 5 dead in the sorority house. That doesn't quite happen. Not like this. Like, not with your bare hands, not with creative ways. And yeah, the fact that you don't know, that you never are going to know, that there is a mystery there without this being like, yes, it's a procedural and there's detectives on the case, but there's no clues. The clue is, oh, we tapped the phone, it's in the house. That's the one clue. Like, they don't dust for prints. They're not doing blood samples. Like, there's no skin under fingernails. It's done on purpose. Like, you have this, not MacGuffin, but you have this red herring for the whole film, and it's just like, good enough. He's gonna get away.
Everything here is shrouded in ambiguity, and normally I kind of
Hate
despise that
Yeah.
in a certain level of film. But the thing in Black Christmas is that there's one thing that's unambiguous, and that's this guy is crazy and he's going to kill you, and that's the one thing that is like the shining gem at the center of this, and that's
the
why
shining
it's
gem?
so terrifying.
Well, and that's also just, I mean, when you talk about horror specifically, like that's, you know, the less is more approach is very much true, and maybe just not revealing who the killer is definitely a part of that that's frightening. Is just this idea that you see someone this messed up is out there that's capable of doing horrible things. You have no idea who they are, and they're still out there, and it's a fucking just scary note to leave that on. And
It's so
it's funny because
though.
it gives you so much, I think, like, you know, like so many
Uh-huh.
elements with the comedy and the police procedural, and it still leaves you feeling uncomfortable with giving you very little as far as horror, and it fucking succeeds so well at that front that I don't know how to best articulate this, but I think you can kind of decipher what I'm getting at from what I'm saying.
It's almost shocking that this is at the forefront of the slasher genre. It's right at the beginning of it becoming a trend, and yet it escapes almost all the conventions that it would later embrace. You don't have a reason for this killer. Like, even with, you know, Psycho or the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or a couple years later with Halloween, well, maybe not the first Halloween, but you have a backstory for those killers. It's like, oh, they're like this because of this. Their family's like this, or they're psychotic, or whatever. Like, you have some kind of makeup for what would make them go on a killing spree like this. And not only do you not get that here, but as we said, you don't know who it is.
I think here you can
completely
at
a
least
mystery.
interpret a motive or some sort of circumstance. No, I mean,
Yeah, I think from the phone calls you can kind of piece
Yeah.
together a little something.
A little bit. Like, yeah, maybe he was beat by his mom or
well,
whatever.
that's kind of how I
and-
made the Elliot Roger connection later, and that's a guy that literally just targeted women specifically on the street just because no girl would want to have sex with him. And you know, like, that's the thing. A guy serial killer attacking a sorority in college, like, that's my thought, is like, okay, sexual frustration has to be at play, especially from what you decipher out of the phone calls, which makes it obvious that it can't be Peter later on as the movie goes. But that's, you know, you can probably find multiple different ways of interpreting that, but that's really what I came away with.
Sure, because it's a sorority and also, like, the high school girl that gets killed. But, like, you know, Terror Train, not Terror Tram. I worked on that.
That's Universal Studios.
Yeah, I worked on that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Terror Train, you know, it's a revenge movie, and you have a clear reason why. Whereas here, like, even if it is like, oh, he doesn't get laid or whatever reason, or his mom beat him, whatever it is, you still don't really know. Like, you have a theory. You know, you have your best approximation, because no one is just born that way. Like, something happens to you. It's not nurture versus nature. Like, it's both. But even still, it's like we all kind of said, there could be any reason. It could be anyone. This could be the story. This could be about anyone you pass on the street.
Like,
and
this
that's what's
feels
scary about it.
very real in an unsettling way. It's not about setting up a mythology where it's Michael Myers and then there's this legend of him killing his family, and then as the sequels go on, they just make him indestructible. It's not
And then
something
the
like that.
witches, and then, you know, your head got
Season
cut
of the
off,
Witch
but
is a
now
good
you're-
movie.
Now
Just-
you're brought back,
it's-
or better yet, like, oh, you're gonna show up. I'm so happy they didn't make a Freddy versus Jason versus Mike movie. Like, As
That
much
was
as I like
impossible
Freddy
to put
versus
together for the
Jason,
rights.
I love that at least Jason went to space and got upgraded.
right?
Yeah, that movie's amazing.
I know one of you owns it. Steve, it seemed like you had a great time in the theater. Is
I
this a
did.
unanimous buy? Are we all gonna buy this one for $1?
I'd buy it for $10, which I did because
you
I own
did?
it.
I wish this was like an annual Christmas movie. It
It
doesn't have
is for quite a few people.
for a lot of people, but it doesn't have quite enough of the season to want to watch it every holiday. Like this
It's
would,
not super festive.
yeah, exactly. Like Lethal Weapon, Die Hard, like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Those are much more Christmassy. For I don't know
Every
what
Shane
See,
Black movie.
that's what I love about this is that it's very Christmassy and very festive in that Christmas Carol number, and then there's that moment where it just goes, "Fuck movies like that. That's not what this is." And
But
then
if it
it's just
embraced
like,
that-
"No, we're not going to do that. This is what we're going to be." And then it just sticks with what it is. And that's really what I love about that moment, as much as it just broke me on the inside when I was watching it, like, "Ah, fuck, but I love Christmas." But okay,
films
I'm sticking
that
with it.
embrace that, like Trading Places or Terror Train to a lesser extent, even though that's kind of New Year's instead. Just
Silent Night, Deadly Night.
like if it had just more of the season, like yeah, you got like the holiday party kind of, like maybe if the girls had a gift exchange or they're wearing ugly Christmas sweaters, or like it was snowing more of the movie, or I don't know exactly. I could see myself like this would be a fun stocking stuffer, but it still seems more of a Halloween treat for me. Like it's more spooky. Like if it had a counterbalance of Christmas cheer and Christmas horror, instead of it's mostly just horror. Like they're not happy that like the semester's over and they can party. Like yeah, they're going home, but they don't really talk about, like no one's mom is calling to be like, "Oh yeah, you're out of school, I'll see you soon." Like even the dad, he's not like, "Oh yeah, I bought my daughter this present, she didn't even come and pick me up or anything." Like it seemed like a missed opportunity, but it's like it's a minor quibble. Like it's not.
Brian, you might want to go check out the remake of Black Christmas because
I
it's got
think
all that stuff.
It's in there.
Super gimmicky Christmas holiday stuff.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna watch it then.
You know, if you want something that's more Christmassy and looks at the darker side of just that holiday, then you watch something like Krampus. You know, this is just, it's more about, hey, here's a time of year where people are very happy and very festive, and horrible things can still happen in that time. And that's part of what makes it pretty unsettling to me. It's not at all about the mythology or the holiday. It's that something awful can completely intrude in that time of year. As per example, that one scene, that's what really illustrates that for me, and I think it fucking nails that, absolutely.
It's like there's only a couple, as far as I can recall, Christmas horror films. Like there's this, Krampus, I guess Holidays counts. Dead Snow is almost Christmassy.
Well, it's just snowy.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's close enough to Christmas. You got fuck. What's
Okay.
that weird foreign film where like Santa is like
Foreign expert, or
yeah,
it's
Rare
Norwegian, I
Exports.
think. Rare exports, yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
like there's
Let me-
only like X number, like the Futurama episode with Santa, I guess.
Well, let me sit you down, son. We got Silent Night, Bloody Night, which is terrible. It's got a bunch of like Andy Warhol actors in it. Then there's Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Which is a little bit better.
I really like that one. It's about like an orphan who's like crazy because he grew up with nuns and he just kills a bunch of people on Christmas. And there are 5 Silent Night, Deadly Night movies.
Oh, so they're all great.
Basically, the 4th one's about like an evil witch cult and a lady who turns into an insect, sort of.
Okay, you lost me.
Whatever.
It's so
Black
weird.
Christmas.
Black Christmas. I'd buy that for $1.
Great.
Ditto.
I'm really happy to hear that. This was both of your first times watching
Yeah.
it?
Yep. I've had so many of these this year where I just get to go to screenings and see movies for the first time with a crowd. On 35, no less. And yeah, this was one of the high points for this year at those screenings.
It's
so I had a
Great.
fucking
I'm
blast.
so glad.
It's so weird because I generally don't like slow burns. I really don't like misleading movies. And I typically like gore and sex and the drugs. Like, I love Terror Train for a lot of reasons. And that was like the opposite of this. Like, this is just totally atmospheric, get you in the feels. Like, you don't know what to expect, and then when you do think you know what's going on, it totally tricks you. The way it ends, like how scary real it is.
Like, that's what I love
Yeah.
about it. Like, it's not necessarily a pleasant experience when you're watching it, but then the afterglow when you just think about it and you recount
You're like,
everything,
holy
like
fuck.
that's, it's like it resonates. And you know, I'm sorry, I fucking love this movie. How else can I
Like,
say it?
it's not scary, but yet
It is
disagree. I
horrifying.
think
Like
it's really
I
intense.
really
it's
hate.
tense. Tense is the word, but it's not like scary. Like
Well, here's the thing. Like this, when it comes to horror films, I really fucking hate this question when I recommend something, and then there's always that question of, is it scary? And I think just today, maybe what people are looking for is like, or when they think of that, they think of jump scares. You know, they think of something that's nice and
there's
creepy and
jump scares here,
atmospheric,
kind of.
and it's building up to a jump scare. Like to me, really scary is like something that's unsettling, that's unnerving, and then it just sticks with you. Like right when you're about to leave, like just that phone ringing at the end and getting louder and louder and louder, just burns that impression of just the entire movie in your fucking skull. Like, and it really just leaves this horrifying afterthought in your mind of like, fuck, this guy is still out there, and everything that's in the movie before just culminates together in just this one horrifying image. Like that to me is what like a true horror movie succeeds at doing, is really burning an impression at you. If it doesn't, it may not necessarily make you uncomfortable throughout the whole time, but it leaves you feeling a bit dirty and really unsettled, like just in a way where almost like you're shocked or maybe a bit catatonic, like you can't exactly process just this horrifying feeling that you have, like, but just deep down in your gut, it's very unsettling. And like for a movie to achieve that, it's so fucking rare when it does it. And I still can't exactly describe the emotion that I left with this, other than I had a blast watching this movie, and whatever it is that I'm feeling right now, like it just, how else can I put it? It's just, it burned an impression that I won't really forget. And it has to be said, like, I got to give him credit for that.
To compare this to our last horror film, The Changeling.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I just listened to that episode of your guys.
Did you like
Yeah.
it?
I liked it a lot. It's I
Thank you.
really like that movie.
Yeah.
Cool.
like,
Yeah. Thank you.
both of our
welcome.
first time seeing that, and just to compare it, kind of similar. Like that film, on if someone asked me and I said during the episode, I wouldn't exactly say it's horror, even though it has supernatural elements and there's a ghost, but yet it has so many things similar with this, where you got the police procedural or like the detective story, and it sucks you in that way, and yet there's not really anything quote unquote scary about it.
Well, that
I
one
don't know.
is,
I
for
really
me, it's,
disagree with that categorization.
I don't know if I'd say scary either. Like it has great like atmosphere and like some creepy moments, but like that is a great ghost story that just
Oh, yeah.
culminates to
Great.
a
No, yeah.
bigger picture, and it's a really fun mystery in that sense.
Like great ghost story, 100%. But
yeah,
when
it doesn't leave me with the same feeling as this, but like that, I don't know if it's fair to judge that movie for not being like this.
When I tell people though, I don't say horror films or thrillers, I say I don't like scary movies. And the reason I use that term is because I don't like being afraid when I watch a film. And there's like this slow realization with most of the movies I picked this year of the genre, they didn't scare me. And like I wouldn't necessarily say that I grade films that are quote unquote horror if they accomplish that feat or not. But it's something that I look forward to. Like I was hoping that this would unsettle me, and it totally did, especially the way it ends. But it's been a long time since I actually watched something and I was like, oh fuck, like I don't want to keep watching this. I want to turn it off. I want to pause it. I need to get away. I think the last time I felt that was the first time I saw The Evil Dead. Like
Ooh, that movie's great.
I was so chicken shit. And I had a friend over. I was renting them from Hollywood Video, so this is clearly an old story. And I had them at my house. It was my birthday, and I stopped being scared of horror films, but he still was. And I was like, so why don't I put a movie on? I put it in, and I just I think I skipped ahead to the fortune telling scene, and he was shitting his pants. Like he made me turn it off. Like it was classic. I got such a good laugh. And then like a couple years after that, I got paid to scare people. So. That's when I became a monster, and maybe me becoming a monster stopped me really being scared of things.
I think it's part of being a cinephile and just getting too used to the horror genre, and like it's
no.
rare that like you're scared at something that makes you jump.
No, horror video games still make me jump.
Well,
Resident Evil
here's
7, I can
There's
play
still
that.
horror movies that make me jump, but it's like it's an in the moment thing of like, okay, anyone that jumps, if there's loud noises or something just
No.
appears, like there's always a noise that's going to get to me, but it's not necessarily like I'm scared. It's not going to be that same feeling as when I was first watching horror films. It's probably just from an overexposure to movies and knowing what to expect. That
I'm not
doesn't
even
mean it's a
talking about
bad thing. It's
movies.
just I don't know if it's going to affect me the same way.
I stopped reading The Shining because I got too scared. Resident Evil 7 legitimately I think is terrifying. I do not want to play that, especially in VR, even though I have the demo available. I've watched Luis play it. Okay? I just bought Robinson the Journey for my PSVR, and I know it has dinosaurs in it, and now I'm thinking about how scary those dinosaurs are, and I don't want to play it. Like, Arkham VR had a jump scare in it. I was pissed off, especially about that, and then also the psychological horror closing. Like, I am still scared of certain things.
I'm gonna have to occupy a wireless VR space with you at some point in some horror element just to see how chicken shit you are.
If VR
That'll be
horror
fun.
is a whole different thing. Like, they can totally, literally get in your head. Thanks for listening. We hope it's been a pleasure. If you like this show and you want to hear more of our wonderful voices on a weekly basis, check out 2 Cents, a recap of what's happened in film, TV, and tech news.
We're also on the titular Dollar Review Show, a spoiler-free critique of new releases or anything we've discovered on our own, whether that be TV, music, etc.
You can find all of our content at dollarreviews.net. Follow us on Twitter, or like us on Facebook at Dollar Reviews.
And we're also on Google Play Music, iTunes, Pocket Cast, TuneIn, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, just about anywhere on the internet with hours of content available to you for free. But for those of you that feel that the show is worth your dollar, you can send us a donation at patreon.com/dollarreviews. Contributions not only earn our undying love, but they also make it possible for us to improve our recording equipment and to give you the highest quality episodes possible. But more importantly, they'd be helping us acquire the content to review. You know, trips to the multiplex are expensive, and the more donations we receive, the more films we can review for your listening pleasure.
If you listen somewhere we're currently not available, you'd like to contribute some talking points, send a Death to Cinema request, or if you just want to laugh at us, you can do so by reaching out to us on social media or send an email to brian@dollarreviews.net.
Or you can email me as well, steve@dollarreviews.net.
You can follow me personally on Twitter at Brian Gillis, that's BRYONGILLIS, and now you know how to spell the email too, and also under the same name on the lovely site Letterboxd, which acts as my film diary, where I rate films I'm watching, write the occasional review, and even sometimes compile lists.
You can also find me on Twitter at S_MTX, and also follow my film diary at Letterboxd under the same name, where I log everything I watch, and sometimes write brief reviews.
That's it for this week. Until next time, keep the change.